In this video, we're going to be looking at the validity of an argument. Okay, so there are a few background things that we need to know, and I have some other videos that I go more into this if you are interested. But this will be a quick review of what those other videos covered. So conditional statement, if P, then Q, and this is how you write it with the arrow. The converse is the opposite order, so if Q, then P. The inverse is the opposite result, which is not P, then not Q. So this is if not P, then not Q. The contrapositive is the combination of the converse and inverse. It changes the order and puts a not in front. So instead of if P, then Q, it changes to if not P, or if not Q, then not P. Okay. These little three dots stand for therefore. Negation, of course, means not P. That's a little tilde in front. Uh, one Only one can be true at the same time. You can't have both of these true. Conjunction, it's the one that it looks almost like an A in the middle, meaning and. So Q and P, which is only true when both Q and P are true. Otherwise, the conjunction is false. Disjunction, which is the opposite. It's got an or in between. Q or P. Okay. So this is usually true, almost always true. The only time it is false is when both Q and P are false. If either one of them are true, then Q or P is true. Okay, so that's sort of the background information going into this problem. Here's the rules that we are going to use to write in symbolic form and see if we are valid, if our argument is valid. Okay, so we have 6 things here, 4 of which are valid, 2 of which are invalid. Okay, so the law of detachment, which is valid, says if P then Q is true and P is true, then Q must be true. Okay, so if P then Q, given P is true, Q must be true. The law of contraposition, which is also valid, if P then Q. If you're given that Q is not true, then it follows that P is also not true. Okay, so if P is true, then Q is true. If Q is not true, then P is also not true. Okay, that's valid. The law of syllogism, which is valid, it is if P, then Q, and then we have then Q, then R. If Q, then R, then it follows P, then R. So it's like 3 statements. Like, for example, if the apples are red, then I will eat an apple. If I eat an apple, I will pay for an apple. So if the apples are red, I will pay for an apple. That follows. Okay. The law of disjunctive syllogism, which is also valid. This is the or. Okay. So if P or Q is true, and you're given that P is not true, not P, then Q must be true. Okay, so this is saying one or the other has to be true. If you're given that P is not the one that's true, then Q has to be true. Okay, and then the last 2 are invalid, the fallacy of the converse. If P, then Q. If you're given that Q is not true, then P is true, and this is a false statement. Okay, so if you see something like this, this is not true. So if P, then Q, given that Q is not true, it does not follow that P is true. Okay, and here, fallacy of the inverse, if P then Q. If P is not true, then it follows that Q is not true. That's also invalid. Okay, so this is a false statement right here. Both of these things, if we see them, we will say, nope, that's invalid, and we'll move on. Okay, so let's look at our first problem. So it says, let P, Q, and R be the following statements. P, the bake sale is on Friday. Q, Laura is making cookies. R, Laura is using the oven. Okay, so let's see what this form says and write it down as we go. If the bake sale is on Friday, so if P, okay, if P, then Laura is making cookies. So then Q. Okay, and I'm getting the Laura making cookies is Q from right here, and the bake sale on Friday from right here. So that's P, that's Q. So if the bake sale is on Friday, if P, then Q. Okay, and then the bake sale is on Friday. Okay, so they're giving us that statement. The bake sale is on Friday. That is P, so I'll say P is true. And then we put a line and a therefore. Okay, so our statement is if the bake sale is on Friday, then Laura's making cookies. The bake sale is on Friday. Therefore, Laura is making cookies. Okay, Laura is making cookies is Q. Okay, now is this true? Well, can we see this up top on one of our valid rules? Yes, it's the law of detachment right there. If P then Q, given P, then Q must be true. So yes, that is a true statement. Okay, let's do part B on this one. So remember, P is bake sale on Friday, Q is Laura making cookies, and R is Laura using the oven. Okay, so if the bake sale is on Friday, so if P, then Laura is making cookies, so then Q, okay, and then it says the bake sale is not on Friday, so not this one, not P, okay, therefore, what is true? It says, therefore, Laura is not making cookies, so not Q. Okay, so is that one true? Okay, so do we see that one up there anywhere? Yes, we do. We see it right here. Okay, so I was out of screen there for a second. So P goes to Q. If P, then Q, not P, then not Q. That's the statement we were given, and it's the fallacy of the inverse. Okay, so this is no, that is not valid. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Okay, on this one, let P, Q, and R be the following statements. P, it is Lena's birthday. Q, we are having hamburgers for dinner. R, there will be leftovers. Okay, so it is Lena's birthday, or we are having hamburgers for dinner. So how do I write or? That's with the upside down. It looks kind of like a V. Okay, so it is Lena's birthday is P, or is the, looks like a V like this. We are having hamburgers for dinner, so or Q. That's our first statement. It is Lena's birthday, or we are having hamburgers for dinner. That's this. It is not Lena's birthday, so not P. Therefore, three dots, we are having hamburgers for dinner. Therefore, we are having hamburgers for dinner, which is Q. Okay, so based on what we see up here, is that the valid statement? There it is right there, the law of disjunctive syllogism. Okay, so it says that this statement is true, this is valid. So this follows, and this is valid. Okay, let's do one more on this problem here. Okay, so if it is Lena's birthday, then we are having hamburgers for dinner. So if P, then Q. P, Q. Okay, P was Lena's birthday, Q was having hamburgers for dinner. If P, then Q. Okay, the next statement says it is Lena's birthday. So it is Lena's birthday, so P is given. Therefore, we are having hamburgers for dinner. Therefore, Q. Does that follow? Okay, and it looks like that's the law of detachment right here. Okay, so that one is true. Yes, it's valid. And that's it.